Okay, you probably read the thumbnail, so let's get one thing out of the way. This is not gonna be a video where I try to convince you that DNF Duel is some horrible game that you should never put your hands on. I don't even feel like that. I don't think anything like that. I'm mostly gonna talk about how the game makes me feel about fighting games and the fighting game community in general. And I'll try to make it quick, alright? Cool, let's dive right into it. So, as I said, DNF Duel is not a bad game per se. It's not some poorly executed piece of garbage. It's a crazy, wild, loosey-goosey fighting game with big old bombastic special moves that you can activate with a single button. And when I say it's loosey-goosey, I mean that what the game is trying to do is so freeform that it'll probably never be properly balanced. And I don't mean that in a bad way. The game's been out for like a week or something and people have already found just hella infinite combos and all types of wacky shit, and that kind of wacky unchecked bullshit like that can be very fun in its own way. But as I may have said before, the gameplay is not exactly what I'm here to talk about. Let's instead look at the content. You've got a bare bones 90s style 16 character roster. You've got a typical arcade mode, a survival mode, regular, local, and online versus. All the stuff you're legally required to have. Now here's where shit gets a little funny. This game also has a story mode, because story mode has become one of those legal requirements. And I'm saying legal as a joke, don't be stupid, nobody can get in trouble for not having a story mode. But yes, recent times have made a fighting game story mode a staple in the fighting game package, where we feel duped if it isn't there. Although quality varies wildly, so sometimes we get it and it still feels like we didn't get it. And when the quality of it is low, like it is here in DNF, it almost never comes off as a budget thing to me. It always seems like an effort thing. And this is sort of the crux of what I want to talk about. The thumbnail said, DNF Duel makes me want to quit fighting games. And to an extent, it does. It makes me want to quit trying these new fighting games that clearly aren't going to try. I'm not talking about gameplay, I won't say it again. I'm talking about a reason to play, a reason to get good at the gameplay. It's not 1994. We're not all gathered around arcade cabinets trying to dominate our friends and be king of Quarter Mountain or whatever. You have to give me more of a reason to play than just be the best that ever was like I'm fucking Ash Ketchum or some shit. This game is a cash grab. There, I said it. I said it, alright? I promise you, they don't give a fuck about this. They gave us the bare minimum. And the argument is, oh, it's at a discounted price. Man, they took $10 off the usual $60 price tag. This game is not only $10 worse than Tekken 7. It's not only $10 worse than Injustice 2 or Soul Calibur 6. At the very least, DNF Duel should be $20 off, at least. And if we're gonna be all the way honest, it should be $30 off the $60 price tag. This is a $30 game, in all honesty. You know what DNF Duel is $10 worse than? Guilty Gear Strive, a game that should have been $40. And that's the thing. The DNF content and pricing isn't just a DNF Duel problem. It's a problem in fighting game development. They don't respect the fighting game community because the fighting game community doesn't respect itself. These devs sit back and say, just make sure the gameplay is solid enough, as they should. Although they only do that so that they have a hope of being an esport. But anyway, after they say, let's make sure the gameplay is solid enough, then they go, what about content? Well, what about it? We don't need content. These people will pay $60 for the bare minimum and an extra $40 for 6 characters who should have been in the game at launch. Why would I give these people content? I've seen some people say, wow, this DNF story mode is better than I thought it would be. Me too. I agree. But it's not even good. Think about that. It's somehow not good and above our expectations. Look at how little we expect of fighting games in terms of content. And here's the thing, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The fighting game genre, the fighting game community is niche. Just because everyone's heard of the bigger guys, we tend to forget that. Fighting games are niche. If you ask your average gamer what fighting games they play, the answer is likely only Mortal Kombat. Maybe Injustice because they want to be Batman. But it's not common for a gamer to even be a Street Fighter player these days. We forget that just because everyone's heard of Street Fighter and at one point it was a phenomenon. But my reason for pointing out how truly niche fighting games are is to point out the traits that come with a niche fan base. One of those traits is that they consume every bit of what they're given because they aren't given a lot. Even if what they're given isn't very good, they consume it like it is because they don't know when the next thing is even coming. But when you're ravenous for something like that, when you're visibly desperate, you're giving away all of your power. You become less and less likely to actually receive anything good. And I know I said I wouldn't say it again, but I'm gonna say it again. I'm not talking about any of these fighting games gameplay, although some of them do have bad gameplay. I'm talking about a respect for you. Because as it stands, most of these fighting game devs view us as the ravenous buffoons that we make ourselves out to be. The thumbnail said, DNF Duel makes me want to quit fighting games. And it really does, but it's more of just the final straw. I only want to play the big boys now, honestly. I only want to play the fighting games that make it worth money, not the ones that treat me like some kind of crack fiend and think I'm too stupid to know that they valued themselves too highly. You know, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, it even looks like Street Fighter's on the good foot now. Because here's the thing about the big boys. They're popular outside of the niche community. They've entered the mainstream zeitgeist, and that's a different kind of money. And since money is what it all comes down to, you bet your bottom fucking dollar that none of them want to go back. That's why Street Fighter V got lambasted for the way it launched. It's not the goober ass FGC lambasting them that they care about, because the stupid ass FGC is gonna buy the next one regardless, because we have no respect for ourselves. No, it's whatever sized mainstream fan base that they've managed to grab. That's who's guaranteeing that Street Fighter 6 will be a lot better than Street Fighter 5 was. Because the mainstream consumer isn't ravenous for a fighting game. They want good, quality, content-rich entertainment. And there's a lot of it out there. And that lack of desperation allots them the ability to go, well, not spending my money on that anymore. And that ability scares the big boys. It scares those devs. That keeps the big boys on their toes. The fact that you will get up, take your money, and leave. And until the very niche FGC decides, fuck it, I'll get my entertainment elsewhere, and stops being a slave to their fighting game fix, we'll unfortunately continue to receive content-devoid cash grabs with nothing more to offer than flashy appearances just to get you in the door. I, for one, think I'm done putting up with this type of shit. And even if Street Fighter 6 comes out and I feel like not enough effort was put into providing adequate content for the price, I'll be off them too. I don't give a fuck. Although I highly doubt that that happens. But yeah, call me when Street Fighter 6 is out. Call me when the new NetherRealm game is out. Call me when they announce Tekken 8 or by some miracle we get another Soul Calibur. Call me when one of these niche little fighting games decides to respect the value of the money I'm giving them. I'm not fucking rich. And even if I was, I'm not stupid, nor am I addicted to this shit. I'll get my entertainment elsewhere. Fuck you. So whatever. That's all I've got to say. Feel free to tell me what you think. But until next time, I am Waifu Belector. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I want fighting games with content. Goodbye.